The fastest way to save money isn't some clever investing trick or a fancy coupon app. It's just quietly refusing to buy things. Over the years, I've crossed item after item off my shopping list, not because I'm cheap, but because I kept realizing I was paying good money for stuff I could make better at home or honestly didn't need at all. And once you start noticing it, you cannot unsee it. So here are 15 things I flat out don't buy anymore, and exactly what I do instead. We'll start with the ones that'll genuinely surprise you, the little ripoffs hiding in plain sight, and work down to the big, obvious ones at the end. Number one is something almost everybody has in their fridge right now, paying for it without a second thought. Number one is buttermilk, and I haven't bought a carton in years. Here's the trick that ended it. Anytime a recipe calls for buttermilk, I pour 1 tablespoon of plain vinegar or lemon juice into a measuring cup, fill the rest of the way with regular milk, and let it sit about 5 minutes. That's the whole thing. It curdles into the exact same thing the recipe wants for a fraction of the cost. And here's the real kicker. When you buy a whole carton for one recipe, the rest almost always goes off in the back of the fridge before you reach for it again, so you're throwing money away twice. With the milk and vinegar trick, you make only as much as you need, right when you need it. No waste, no carton, no problem. Number two is those little seasoning packets, the taco seasoning, the ranch mix, the chili kits, every one of them. I quit buying these the day I finally turned one over and read the back. You know what's mostly in there? Salt, a bit of cornstarch, and a small pinch of spices you almost certainly already own, sold to you at roughly 10 times what they're worth. A single packet might run you $1 or $2 for a few cents of seasoning. So now I keep the basic spices in the pantry, the chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, and paprika, and I mix my own. You can make a whole jar of taco seasoning for the price of one packet, control the salt, and leave out the strange stuff you can't pronounce. Read one label and you'll quit them too. Number three is boxed baking mixes. The pancake mix, the cake mix, the muffin mix, that whole shelf of just add water boxes. Here's what finally got me. A box of pancake mix is, at its heart, nothing but flour, a little sugar, some baking powder, and salt. The four cheapest ingredients in the store, dressed up with a nice label and a fat markup. You're literally paying a premium for somebody to measure flour for you. Real pancakes from scratch take about 2 extra minutes in one more bowl, and they taste 100 times better. And if it's the convenience you love, mix your own big batch of dry pancake mix in a jar and keep it in the cupboard. Same scoop and go ease. About a quarter of the cost, no mystery ingredients in your breakfast. Number four is one that makes me laugh a little now, croutons and breadcrumbs. These two are the textbook example of a store selling you cast-offs at a profit, because that is exactly what they are. Old stale bread, dried out and bagged up nice. I'll never quite understand paying $4 for a bag of stale bread when my own goes stale for free. The heel of the loaf nobody wants, the slices going a touch hard, the forgotten half a baguette, all of it gets saved. Cube it and toast it with a little oil for croutons, or grind it up and dry it for breadcrumbs. Drop it in a jar, and you've got both whenever a recipe calls for them, made entirely from bread you'd otherwise have thrown out. Waste nothing, buy nothing, and your soup gets better for it. I'll be honest, I thought these health rings were a scam. I bought one half expecting to send it back. 3 months later, it hasn't left my finger. And it does way more than I expected. Sleep, heart rate, activity, recovery, my cycle, and stress, all from one little ring. The thing that helped me most? I realized my afternoon coffee was quietly wrecking my sleep. One small change, cutting it off after lunch, and within a week I was sleeping like a rock. Now here's why I'm telling you this. Right now, the ring's 63% off. Just $60 if you grab it through the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee if it's not for you. But I'm keeping mine. Number five, Bottled salad dressing has been off my list for a long time. Look at the price of a decent bottle these days, and then look at what's actually in it. Mostly cheap oil, a splash of vinegar, some seasonings, and a long line of preservatives to keep it shelf stable for a year. You can make something far fresher and better, tasting in about 30 seconds with things you already have. A basic vinaigrette is just oil, vinegar, a spoonful of mustard, and a pinch of salt shaken up in a jar. That's it. It costs pennies. It tastes brighter than anything from a bottle, and you can adjust it however you please. Once you start making your own, the bottled stuff honestly starts to taste a little off. Number 6 isn't one product, it's a whole cabinet of them. All those specialty cleaning sprays. The glass cleaner, the bathroom cleaner, the kitchen cleaner, the floor cleaner, the stainless steel cleaner, each one its own bottle. Each one swearing it's the only thing that works on that one surface. It's a marketing trick, plain and simple. I cleared every last one out and replaced the whole army with 3 cheap things: a jug of plain white vinegar, a box of baking soda, and a bottle of Castile soap. Between those, watered down and mixed as I need them, I can clean very nearly every surface in the house for a sliver of what all those bottles cost. No harsh fumes, nothing toxic under the sink where little hands can reach, and no more paying premium prices for what is mostly water in a fancy spray bottle. Number 7, I actually feel a little betrayed about: fabric softener and dryer sheets. Here's the dirty secret nobody tells you. Softener works by coating your laundry in a thin, waxy film, and that film is exactly the problem. It slowly destroys the absorbency of your towels, so the fluffy towels you paid good money for gradually stop drying you off. It can gum up your washer, too, so I quit it cold. For soft, static-free laundry, I use a set of wool dryer balls I bought one time and have used for years, plus a splash of plain vinegar in the rinse if something needs extra softening. Your towels go right back to doing their job, your clothes last longer, and you stop pouring money into a bottle of stuff that was quietly working against you. Number 8 is where the homestead really starts saving money: the bagged fertilizers and weed killers down at the garden center. I don't buy a lick of it anymore. For feeding the garden, compost does the whole job for free, turning my kitchen scraps and yard waste into the richest soil you have ever seen. And a bucket of well-aged manure beats any bag money can buy. For the weeds, a thick layer of mulch smothers most of them before they even get started. And the few stubborn ones that push through get pulled by hand or hit with a little vinegar. Not only am I saving a real fortune every single season, I'm also not dumping harsh chemicals onto the very ground where I grow my own food. The old ways were cheaper and safer the whole time. Funny how often that turns out to be true. Number 9, air fresheners, the plug-ins, the sprays, and those pricey scented candles. I gave them all up, and honestly, my house smells better for it. Here's what bugged me. You're basically paying a never-ending subscription to squirt perfumed chemicals into the air you breathe, refill after refill. When something genuinely smells bad, the real answer is to find the cause and open a window, not to spray a floral cloud over the top of it. And when I do want the house to smell cozy, I just set a small pot of water on the stove with some orange peels, a cinnamon stick, and a few cloves, and let it simmer low. The whole house fills up with the most wonderful smell for next to nothing, using up scraps I'd have tossed in the compost anyway. Number 10 is anything sold in single-serving packaging, and this one adds up faster than people realize. The little cups of yogurt, the snack-sized chip bags, the individual oatmeal packets, the coffee pods. You are paying a steep premium, sometimes double or more, purely for tiny portions and a mountain of extra packaging. So instead, I buy the big tub of yogurt and scoop it into a small reusable container for the week. I buy the big bag and portion the snacks into my own little bags or jars. The same food, the same convenience once you spend 2 minutes setting it up, but a fraction of the price and a fraction of the trash. The store adores single servings because they're a pure profit. That alone is reason enough for me to skip them. Number 11 is plastic wrap and those endless boxes of zip top bags. Now, I'm not saying never use a bag. I'm saying stop treating them as single use. A freezer bag that held some frozen vegetables gets a quick wash and a dry, and it's ready to go again, easily 5 or 10 more times. For covering bowls and leftovers, a plate set on top, or a reusable silicone lid, or a beeswax wrap handles it without the constant rebuying. I keep a few jars and containers in steady rotation and barely touch the plastic wrap anymore. It's one of those quiet little leaks in the budget, a few dollars here and there, every single trip forever. Plug it once and you stop seeing it on the receipt. Number 12 is brand new clothing at full price, especially the cheap fast fashion kind. I almost never buy it anymore, and my closet is the better for it. Here's the thing. The secondhand world is overflowing with barely worn clothes, plenty still with the original tags on, going for a few dollars a piece. The thrift stores, the online resale sites, local swaps, hand-me-downs from family. You can turn up solid, well-made pieces for a tiny fraction of the original price, and older clothing is very often far better made than the thin, flimsy new stuff anyway. And when something I own gets a hole or loses a button, I mend it rather than toss it. Buying brand new clothing at full price has quietly become one of the easiest expenses in the world to avoid almost entirely. Number 13 follows right along from that, brand new furniture. The new furniture in most stores these days is shockingly flimsy, just particle board and staples dressed up to look solid. And it starts falling apart within a few years. Meanwhile, the secondhand market is full of real solid wood furniture built decades ago to last a lifetime, going for next to nothing simply because it's a little out of fashion or needs some love. A dresser somebody's set on the curb, a sturdy old table at an estate sale, a good chair that just needs new cushions. With a bit of cleaning and maybe a quick sand and a fresh coat of paint, you end up with something far better made than anything new in your price range. A little patience turns furniture shopping into a treasure hunt. Number 14 is one you very likely heard before, but I have to include it because the savings are so steady. Paper towels and paper napkins. These are pretty much the definition of money you light on fire. You buy a roll, you use it all up, you throw it in the trash, and then you buy another, around and around forever with absolutely nothing to show for it. I keep a basket of cut-up old towels and worn-out shirts to use as cleaning rags, and a stack of cloth napkins for the table that just go in with the regular wash. I do still keep one roll of paper towels around for the truly nasty jobs because I'm not a monster, but a single roll lasts me months now instead of days. Anything you buy, use one time, and throw straight into the garbage is always worth a second look. And we'll finish with the most obvious one of all, but the numbers are simply too good to leave it off: bottled water. This might just be the single greatest marketing trick ever pulled on people, convincing a whole society to pay good money for something that pours out of their own tap for almost nothing. Bottle for bottle, you are very often paying hundreds, sometimes thousands of times more than that same water costs straight from the faucet, and you're left holding all that plastic on top of it. If you don't love the taste of your tap water, a simple filter pitcher or a little faucet filter sorts that out for pennies a gallon. Fill up a good reusable bottle and carry it along with you. That one swap by itself can save a regular bottled water buyer hundreds of dollars a year. For water, that's very often no different at all. And those are the 15. Notice that almost none of this is really about going without anything. It's about waking up to just how much we've all been trained to buy things we could easily make, reuse, or simply skip altogether. Every single item you manage to cross off your list is money that stays right in your pocket month after month and year after year without you ever having to think about it again. Pick a few to drop this week and watch your savings quietly grow.